Hello, welcome to my workshop. The reason I've started doing these videos is because I spend a lot of time working on my own, and it'd be more interesting for me to start doing some videos, and people out there might learn a little bit about what I'm doing day to day. One of today's jobs is I'm doing some work on a Makita backpack leaf blower. I've already made a start on it, and I'll show you what I'm doing just a minute. It's a Makita EB5300TH, and the problem with it is when you try and rev it up, it's bogging down. Now this is a common problem on these kind of machines, and it's usually to do with the carburetor. I've already changed the spark plug. I do that as standard at most times when I get something in with one of these problems. I just do it anyway, and I always change it with a decent spark plug. So NGK, yeah, that they're reliable. So I always put one of them in just to make sure that that's not a problem. I've been inside here. I've checked the fuel filter. This is a fairly new machine. It's not had that many hours on it. So I checked the fuel filter. There was no fuel in it when it came, so I put some fuel in. Check the fuel filter. That's okay. I've had it running. It just ticks over whenever you try and rev it up. There's hardly anything there. So the next step is obviously check the fuel lines. Make sure nothing's untoward there. And I've just dismantled it to have a look at this carburetor. Now sometimes there's an adjustment on these type of carburetors, and I thought that was one there. It's usually a little plastic plug that you can pop out by heating up some kind of pointy thing and shoving it in there until it melts, and then you can pop it out, and there's a little screw behind it. But I've had a poke around in there, and it's just like a brass pin or something, so I'm not sure about that. So the next job is to take the fuel lines off, take it off, and have a look inside the carburetor, make sure the diaphragms are okay, and the fuel pump system on it is working correctly. Like I say, it's fairly new, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to find, but it might come to getting a new carburetor. They're not very expensive, this type. So anyway, that's where we are at the minute. So I'll get back to you when I took that off. Right, so we've got the carburetor here, and what we're going to do is take these bottom screws out and have a look inside. Oops, nearly lost you. Take these out. Fast forward, maybe. Ah. It's a little bit dirty in there. Not too bad. That's a spring there. Just lost it. that goes there. It pushes against. Oh, that's not very good. Pushes against that little diaphragm there. It looks a bit crusty. Debris in it. Anyway, let's have a further dig down. That came off nice and easy. Diaphragm feels a little bit stiff, but not too bad actually. Get back into the light again. There's a little gauze there, that's where the fuel comes in, and that's like a fuel filter there, that little gauze in that hole there. Sometimes that can get blocked up, but that looks fine. Let's take this side off. Yeah, that's all nice and pliable. Sometimes these get stiff. That's fine. And inside there there's a little needle and seat inside there which lets the fuel through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some carb cleaner, make sure I don't lose all these pieces. Don't really need to take that top. Sometimes I'm getting the best light. Oh, there we are. Sometimes in the top there as well there's an adjustment for the, I can't remember which one it is, for the high and low. Sometimes there's a little plastic plug in there with a screw behind it, and sometimes there's a little plastic plug in one of these ports here with a screw behind it. But there doesn't seem to be any adjustment on this one, because that's just like a brass pin as well in there. Anyway, I'll clear all that out. I'll just spray it out with some carb cleaner and then give it a blowout with an airline, make sure it's all nice and clean, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, so here it is all back together now. I've just cleaned all those parts out with carb spray and then blown it out with the airline. I did notice that one of the spring in there seemed to be upside down, so I don't know if somebody's had this apart and put the spring in the wrong way around. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'll put this back on the machine now and see how we get on with it. Okay, seems like we got lucky with that one. I've just put the carburetor back on the machine, fired it up, let it set. With these machines you have to let them run for like a minute before they get warmed up enough for you to be able to rev them up anyway. So yeah, it's looking good. Okay, let's try that again. It didn't work. Yeah, so that runs up fine now. I've just got to put the air filter back on and a few more screws that hold the carburetor arrangement back on, and that's it. That's that one done. So I'm quite happy with that as a first job today. See you on the next one.